Dear fly fishermen from all around the world, welcome to my workshop here in France for another talk about active nymphing. My name is Stan, I'm a pro fly tyer located in France, and my pleasure is to share with you all the nymphing methods I've been using all around the world. And after 10 years of nymphing, I realized that I locked only one method and I worked a lot on the collection of the nymphs I produce. So why do I specialize in nymph flies production? Only because nymph fishing is the best way to catch regularly big fish. So what I will do in all this video is to share with you all the fishing, all the nymphing I've been doing all around the world, from France to Sweden to the USA to Austria, in the UK, in Iceland, in Mongolia, you name it. I've been fishing since 10 years all around the world with my collection of nymphs that you see here. And now, to start this video and to tell you more about the active nymphing method, I will now explain you why I think that all these indicators you see here are useless. As I told you, all these indicators are to me useless because since many years now I practice only one method of nymphing. This method, I always practice it with what I call a mono-leader bicolor. You see it on the picture, it's a very simple piece of mono-leader bicolor. It's not tapered and I use it in any condition. You can even see it on my reel here. So you can see it on the picture here. You see it's a very thin tippet, 0.18 millimeter. So I sell it as an indicator on the website active-nymphing.com. And this is the only indicator I use. You can see it here on the reel. Also here in this picture, you see it right here. This is the only indicator I use. On this picture, you can understand that I use a stop knot on this indicator to tie the point line, the finish line where I rig the nymph on that. So here, a precise view of this famous stop knot, and I will tell you more about this stop knot in the next videos. Now, I will present you a video showing the active nymphing method in action right now. So you understood it? Yes, it's Euro nymphing. We call it in France tension nymphing. Maybe a lot of you guys know this method, but with the active nymphing method, what I will explain to you is that what's important is the choice of the nymph weight and the drift. There are many nymphing methods available, but I share with you the only method I locked, and that is this method with this bicolor indicator leader. So why do I think that all the indicators you see here are useless? Because people spend too much time focusing on method, indicator, and they don't spend enough time to choose the right nymph weight. I'm not speaking about nymph pattern, we will see that later. I'm speaking about the nymph weight. It's really important. So let's start to destroy all these indicators because they are useless to me, and to be honest with you, in France you will catch no fish with all these indicators, yarn, paste, spiral, I don't know what, they are really primitive indicators, they are useless for us. So let's start with that one. I don't even know the name of this indicator because we never use that in France, but let's call it the ping pong ball indicator, okay, right? So to make it simple, this indicator must be used with drop shots. So I've seen that a lot in the USA, and it's very simple because in most European countries it's forbidden to use drop shot. So you guys know, I think some people from the US or from New Zealand are watching me. You guys know that in Europe we only fish with weighted nymphs that you can see here, my full collection. So there's no mean for us to use that ping pong ball indicator, and in any case we cannot fish with an indicator of this size. We will never take a trout or a grating in France with that size, so we have no point to use that indicator. Second one, the yarn indicator. Okay, it's even, no, I won't say, it's not worse, but it's not good for us. I will explain you why. You can see here on the picture a yarn indicator floating. And for us it's a shame to use that because first it's too visible, it's too big. The trouts and the grating will see that in the stream, they will be afraid. So I don't know, in France it's like this. I know in the US, I've been fishing in the US, there's tons of fish. I know it works, but on very fine nymphing, there's no way to use that. And what I don't understand, you can see here, look at the red arrow I put. If you fish like this, fish it with the dry fly that can be eaten by a trout. There's no way to use a floating indicator that is not a dry fly because it's silly. You are losing fish in this way. So why to use a yarn indicator when you can use an indicator dry fly? You see here an example of indicator dry fly. So it's called clink and link nymphing. Some of you call it duo nymphing. That's a very good method, but it's working in very few cases. The method I will propose you with the bicolor indicator is far more efficient than duo nymphing. So you see here the yarn also. I really think, like I told you, when a trout will see that yarn floating, she will just run away. There's no way, it's too big. Okay, if you fish it in really rough waters with drop shots, it's okay, but in French and most of European rivers, there's no way to fish with that. So forget about the yarn. Again, it's my point of view. I share with you my method. There are tons of methods available on internet. I will share with you a full detailed method, and we must start to understand why I think that all these indicators are useless. To focus more on the nymph collection. You will see in the video it will get more and more detail, and finally we will have a deep look at the nymph collection. So yarn, no way. That one, the paste indicator, sorry for the name, I'm not really good with that, I'm never using that stuff. Same stuff. Some people use that in France, but it's really basic, primitive nymphing. There's no research of nymph weight, no tension, no good drift with that. And again, as you see on the picture, why using that stuff that is not a dry fly? If you use a floating indicator, go for a dry fly. You see a trout, when the fish is rising, like here, a trout will never rise on the paste. Well, sometimes it happens when fish are really dumb. But if you fish with floating indicators, then go for an indicator dry fly. It's not my kind of nymphing because it's not efficient enough for me. But if you love it, find a good indicator dry fly. Not my business anyway. So paste indicator, no way. Next indicator. Wow, I don't even know what's the name of that stuff, but it looks big, super visible, super primitive. There's no way to do correct nymphing with that stuff, so no way. Again, trouts will be crazy in France or in Spain or in Austria. If you fish with that stuff, you will really take very few fish. Next one, the famous so-called French or Czech indicator. I don't even know the name of that stuff. It looks better than the other one. Yeah, you can think, that one is really thin, it's really light. It looks like very good nymphing. But again, for us, it's too heavy. There's a double trap in that indicator because these micro rings, you know what? They are called micro rings, but guess what? The weight of those micro rings is the same weight as the classic weight of nymph that we fish with. How can you have an indicator that have the same weight as the classic nymph you fish? I'm not even talking about small nymphs. So for us, it's too big, too primitive. I mean, in the method I fish, there's no way to fish with that. It's too heavy, really too heavy. 0.1 grams for an indicator, too heavy. So Czech, French, I don't know how people call it, no way for me. No good drift possible with that stuff. Last one, I think it's called the spiral indicator. So it looks clever too. When you see that, you feel comfortable with that, you say, oh, it's clever because the spiral will get loose when the trout will take the nymph, and it looks like a very good idea. Again, the active nymphing method I propose you, which is really inspired by French nymphing, for us it's crap. No one is fishing with that stuff in France because the problem is that spiral indicator, they don't allow you to fish rough waters. And rough waters are like 50% of the river, so every time you have this spiral indicator, look, you are lost in these waters. I put the indicator here, you see, right here, and it's not visible. The nymph will not be in tension in these rough waters. It's not possible. You must switch, like I propose you here, the tension nymphing I propose you with the active nymphing method. You can clearly see here the stop knot, really visible. You're in full tension and you have a really thin nylon 0.18 millimeter, which is really, really light and allows you good drift. So this spiral indicator, no way to. Okay, you will take some fish with a spiral indicator and then when the water is rough, I understand, you will lift it in tension. But this result that will get loose will provoke a very bad tension in the line. You will miss some bite. Maybe some of you guys are fishing for educated graylings. You know, graylings are spitting nymphs really fast. They can just take it and like this and they spit nymphs really fast. So you must really be in tension but with a good drift. So sorry guys, to be honest with you, but all these indicators are to me primitive nymphing. There's not even a start of reflection with all these indicators. You cannot choose and adapt the nymph weight with all of that. So that's why now I will explain to you why nylon is the best indicator. So, like I told you, all these indicators are too heavy, too primitive, too visible. So forget about them if you want to catch more fish. Maybe it's working in waters packed with fish, maybe in wild place in the US it's working, maybe in Lapland in Sweden it's working, maybe in Austria in some places packed with dumb rainbow trouts it's working. But if you want to go for fine nymphing, you will do nothing with all these indicators. I insist on the bicolor leader I use on the stop knot. This stop knot is really important because you see it here on the picture. It allows you to know where you're at on the bottom, and then you can move it like this and fish in different height in the water. So that's the main point with the tension nymphing I propose you. And another good point is that this top knot is not like a micro loop. It's never moving in time, it's really solid, so you can change quickly the point nylon and adapt quickly the nymph weight to the spot. So maybe you can see it here. Yeah, it's right here, the stop knot. All my indicators are provided with the stop knot on it. Right, we will speak more later about the stop knot and the indicator, but I must speak generally of how I practice this active nymphing method I propose to you. So, more detail on the picture here, you can see the stop knot, okay? These are the indicators available on my website. And with such an indicator, you can fish like, I don't know, I use, let's say, 5 or 6 indicators per year. You don't need a ton of that. Again, another picture here for you to understand well. The indicator is here. So now I will start to introduce the nymph collection. And the active nymphing method I propose to you is really simple. One indicator and a collection of nymph, but the collection of nymph is really important about the weight, the bead colors, and many details that I will explain in the next videos. This is as simple as that. You must focus on the nymph weight to always have the nymph drifting close from the bottom and on the drift. The nymph weight and the drift. These are the only two things that will help you catch more fish. If you fish 20, 30 methods and you don't even know the ballast, the weights of your nymph, there's no way to make a strategy. This is really what I deeply believe. So, contrary to what I said before, to me the silly method is to get comfortable with indicators, marketing. I have this indicator, that one, a spiral, a paste, and to not look at the weight, the ballast of your nymph like I propose you here. This is totally silly because it's random fishing. You just believe in indicator and you don't work. You are not active on the research of the good ballast, of the good weight of the nymph. And this is to me the key point for the success in nymphing. You must know the weight of your nymph by heart. And I will speak later more about the notion of weight. It's different between weight and ballast. So don't go for that. Don't go for all these indicators. Stay simple. Know your nymph collection well and lock only one nymphing method. Believe me, I fish like this since 10 years around the world and I will prove you that it's working. So again, another view of the bicolor indicator here. So very thin diameter, 0.18. And the active nymphing collection I will propose you. So later on my video there will be tons of explanation about these nymphs and also case studies that are really important for you. So don't hesitate, go back on my channel and look for the case studies when I put in application all my nymph collection. So as you can see, the weights are ranging from 0.05 grams to 1 grams. And before we were speaking about indicators that are weighing like sometimes 1 gram. It's not logic to fish like this. Now I will propose you a clip where you can see the stop knot drifting and the kind of drift I practice. So keep in mind what I told you. My advice is to focus on only one nymphing method with this indicator. Don't try to fish tons of methods, you will get lost. You must focus on the drift. the drift is more important than anything when nymphing. But to perform a good drift, you must know the ballast, the weight of your nymph. This is capital. If you don't know how your nymphs are drifting in the water, there's no strategy. So you can see on this picture, you will have to choose. You will have to choose the spot you will fish on the river. That's a key point on my method. You won't be able to fish 100% of the river. Keep that in mind. If you want to fish everything, you will fish nothing. The biggest mistake all anglers do, they want to fish everything, every method. This is an enormous mistake because you feel good when you know the method, but what's really hard is to focus deeply on one method and to know every water vein. Every time you must know that your nymph is drifting close from the bottom. If you mix method, you will never be able to do that. So, like I told you, it's really important. If you want to fish like me, the active nymphing method I propose you, you will have to select parts of the river. If you want to fish the whole river, close the video, don't listen to me. It does not exist. Rivers are too complex. What I propose to you is to get rid of the very low streams part of the river. If it's rising there, if fish are eating dry fly, then fish the dry fly here. But in France, there's nearly no more fish rising, so we must really focus on the fast waters. So you see on the picture, I get rid of some parts of the river. That's really important. Another view to explain this point to you, this drone picture of the river will show you that with the method I propose you, like 80% of all rivers are fishable with the active nymphing method. So I think it's really good. If in any case you can fish 80% of the river, that's a super result. So if a spot is not good, like what's shown here in red, there are really low waters, don't give attention to that and move to another spot. If the place you're fishing is too small, take your car, find another spot. But if you mix all the methods, it's dead. You will not get a lot of fish. You fish dry fly if it's rising, and nymphing is for fast streams. But it's really important to define fast streams, so we will talk more about that later. So that's what I propose to you, to fish 80% of a river with one method. And I will show you that. I've been doing that since 10 years around the world, and it's working. Since many years I'm selling flies in France and Europe with this method. I know that it's working because I believe in that and I focus on one method, but I know my nymph collection by heart. We will speak a lot about that later on. So just drop 20% roughly in any stretch of river, and if you only fish river with no fast waters, then change river. The nymphing will be specific and complicated in this kind of river. To sum up, I would say to you that with the active nymphing method, you just need to know your full collection of nymph to know how they behave in the water. You need this indicator and you need your brain. You need reflection in your brain. It starts here. If you get lost in all methods, in marketing, in all that stuff, it's crap. You must try your nymph on the water. For every nymph, you must have 3 different weights, a light one, a medium one, a heavy one, and then you will start to create a strategy. Really, I'm doing that since 10 years now, and I dropped all the methods. I'm just thinking every time, every stream anywhere in the world, is my nymph drifting good and close from the bottom? That's why I criticized all those classic indicators, because they don't allow you to know where your nymph is drifting. Only this tension nymphing method I propose you will give you very good results on fine and easy nymphing. So that's the end of this first video. You can find my website at activenymphing.com, so it's active-nymphing.com. I'm based in France, I'm tying flies every day, so you can contact me, don't hesitate. The shipping is free worldwide. You can be in New Zealand, in the US, any place. I make free shipping worldwide. All of that flies are tied in France. And if you have any question, contact me through active-nymphing.com. You can send me pictures of your river. I'd be really glad to help you to define a strategy to catch more fish. See you soon for another video.